Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including new Tesla cars spotted in California, Tesla's flying car, supercharging expanding rapidly, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, if you're in the market for buying a Tesla, Tesla just made an exciting change to the referral program. For one, if you're buying a Model 3 or Y and use someone's referral link, you'll get $1,000 off. Then for all the rest of their cars, you'll get $2,000 off. That's also very exciting for potential Cybertruck buyers that you can get $2,000 off. The other exciting change is that this resets the referral link cap, so you can use people's links that previously didn't work any longer. For example, my link is in the description below, and it now works again. Tesla also increased the referral award, so everyone who refers someone will get $1,000 in Tesla credits per referral. Sawyer Merritt put together a great summary of everything that's currently available for incentives to buy a Tesla right now, and it includes 3 free months of FSD and supercharging, up to $2,000 off with a referral link, free FSD transfer as long as you take delivery by December 31st, 0% APR for the Model 3 and Y. For the Model 3, that is only for 36 months right now, and for the Model Y, it's 60 months. For the Model X all-wheel drive, one paid option is included with the purchase of FSD. Model 3 Performance, you get a free paint option with the purchase of FSD. They have the $1,000 discount for members of the military and their spouses, and then there are plenty of inventory discounts, and right now we're seeing them up to $4,080 off on brand new vehicles. You can combine a lot of these incentives, so if you're in the market, it could be a really great time to buy, but I will say things keep stacking up, so it may get even better the further we get towards the end of December. It's always hard to time a Tesla purchase, but right now it seems they're especially incentivizing people to take delivery before the end of 2024. Next up today, one of the best parts about owning a Tesla is their expansive supercharger network. And a lot of that was left up to question at the beginning of this year when a lot of the supercharger team was laid off. Still, Tesla claimed that they were going to keep building their infrastructure, and we're absolutely seeing that happen here in a number of ways. First, Tesla made a big post saying, quote, "Improve charging for all." Within this post on X, they talked about how they've opened support to all EV drivers and manufacturers who are transitioning to electric vehicles, and they made a number of improvements as of late. First, they are doing better at predicting what stalls are fully available, and that's coming because it's getting a little more complicated now since some cars are plugging in with abnormal charge locations, at least abnormal compared to what Tesla's used to with all of their cars being the same. And then they're taking up technically 2 stalls. So they're working on making sure they're not promising more stalls are available than actually are. Then they're of course working on increasing the rollout of their longer cable V4 superchargers. Now Tesla just unveiled their V4 supercharger cabinet, and that's arguably a more exciting development here, because that will enable a lot faster charging in the future for Teslas, particularly immediately for the Cybertruck with 500 kilowatt peak speeds. That should make the Cybertruck's charging capabilities quite a bit faster, and then when Tesla finally upgrades their other cars to support that infrastructure, then those cars will charge that much faster as well. But first is the V4 supercharger stall, which is fully compatible with the V3 cabinet, if that makes sense. The V4 stall itself is future-proofed for the V4 cabinet, but the main thing here is that it has longer cables, so it's much more accessible for other EVs with different charge port locations. Not only has Tesla started rolling these out, but they said within the next 18 months, long cables will outnumber short cables. That's a pretty big development there, because I think we've seen so many V3 superchargers that it seemed like it was going to be quite a long time before V4 actually expanded to the point where it was noticeable and actually more convenient for EV drivers. But within 18 months, they're planning to have more of those than V3 chargers or others. They're first doing this by, of course, installing brand new locations with those new stalls, but then they're also working on modifying existing sites. Here they say over 1,500 sites are being modified to prevent drivers from occupying more than 2 charging spaces, and they're overall improving stall availability and efficiency. Then they're also encouraging manufacturers to move their charge port to the rear left or front right so that they're seamlessly compatible with Tesla's 30,000 short cable superchargers globally. This overall will lead to a much enhanced user experience for all EV owners because it's that much easier to charge your EV at a Tesla station. Right now, it's one of those things where another EV that's not a Tesla may take up 2 charging stalls, and that's annoying technically for Tesla owners who all share the same charge port location. But in the near future here, it's also going to be more convenient for all EV buyers, especially in North America, where the supercharger network really is the main charging network that's actually reliable. I'm excited to see these developments, and we've already seen Tesla modifying existing sites, like with this footage from Brad Sloan showing Tesla removing V3 superchargers at Giga Texas and installing V4 superchargers. This is likely something we're going to see them doing a lot more at existing supercharger sites in the near future. The funny thing is, those V3 chargers are still a lot more reliable than pretty much all other third-party charging is in the United States right now. It's just that it has that short charging cable. They really didn't plan fully ahead for opening this up to other electric car makers. But some of the most recently opened chargers in California are this one in Barstow with 80 stalls, then 46 stalls opened in Dunnigan, along with 38 stalls in Lebec. As we can see, all of these new sites feature their V4 superchargers, and they're making it that much easier to travel in a Tesla or a non-Tesla EV throughout California. It's very exciting to see, and Tesla will continue doing this as they continue opening up their supercharger network to more automakers. I'm very excited to see this development and then see where they can go with their V4 charging cabinet in the future. There are electric cars that support charging speeds that are faster than Tesla's Model 3 and Y do, but this V4 situation in the future should be able to get up to 500 kilowatts, supporting the Cybertruck. But I'm very curious to see if we'll see Hyundai EVs or others that support 350 kilowatt charging speeds, charging at superchargers with those speeds that are actually better than most of Tesla's own vehicles. And a lot of that brings us to what's coming up next with Tesla's own vehicles. The Model 3 and Y are their best sellers by far, especially with the Model Y, and the Model Y is expected to be fully refreshed come 2025. We've been talking about this for a long time and all the improvements it would bring, but in one of my most recent videos I was talking about how this will actually be somewhat of a disappointment for many customers, because it will bring a lot of advances that make it feel a lot better and make this car ride smoother or be much better to drive in from an interior perspective, but won't actually really improve charging performance or battery life. Many people want to see a longer range Model Y, or they want to see it get those capabilities that Tesla just announced on the Cybertruck, but it seems most likely that they're going to be keeping that platform exactly the same, like they did with the Model 3. And the Model 3 actually didn't get any changes to its battery or its drivetrain, except for the performance model. So for the Model Y, it's largely expected the same situation may happen here. But still, we are excited to see these new vehicles, since the Model Y really hasn't seen a proper refresh for about 4 years. The big thing for the Model Y is that car will be coming out of 4 different factories. For the Model 3, Tesla had to retool out of China, which they did first, and then they had to do it out of Fremont. For the Model Y, though, they have Fremont, Texas, Berlin, and China. As such, many are expecting that they'll actually release it simultaneously out of all of these factories. Some see the complexity of all those factories as a reason why Tesla would actually push forward with new battery advances and stuff on the new Model Y, but I'm not sure that that is what we're going to see here. In any case, we've already seen some leaks of the Model Y refresh out of China, and now we appear to be seeing them out of Tesla's Fremont factory. Outside of Tesla's Fremont factory, a bunch of Tesla vehicles, or prototypes, were spotted covered up. Most of these appear to just be their pretty normal shapes, but the fact that they're covering up definitely hints that something is different about these. In the past, they may have covered up different colors, but here I think that they're really covering up some Model Y Junipers, and then whatever this other car is in the middle. Most of these appear to be Model Y vehicles, and they're likely covering them up because they feature whatever those new headlights and taillights are that the Model Y Juniper is expected to get. Maybe it's a single light bar across the front, maybe it's similar headlights to the Model 3 refresh, we'll have to see. But there is this mysterious car in the middle that seems unlike most of Tesla's vehicles. One may look at this and think that it's smaller, so it may be the Robotaxi, but the Robotaxi does not have side mirrors, and this does. Also, the Roadster prototype does seem likely since it's very rounded along the back, but that doesn't seem likely as well given that timeline and given the side mirrors as well. We haven't seen a prototype of the Roadster with side mirrors yet. So what is this vehicle? There's a lot of mystery here, and of course it's always hard to tell with a photo that's taken this far away, but we can definitely tell it is a different size than the rest of the vehicles in this lineup. It also doesn't seem to be a Model S, because the Model S would actually be a little bit bigger than the Model Y's overall dimensions in this case. Of course, it's shorter, but it's longer. So this could be our first peek at what will be one of Tesla's more affordable vehicles for 2025. This is arguably the most exciting thing that Tesla has been talking about recently, that they're going to be making more affordable vehicles come the first half of 2025. Their timeline has been pretty clear there, and it's different than a dedicated new $25,000 vehicle. Instead, that new platform is really just going for the Robotaxi, but they've said that they're going to build new, more affordable vehicles using some of their existing platform and elements of that new platform, and this vehicle could be what they're looking at here. Some sort of Model 3 hatchback has been rumored. This doesn't appear to be that, but that would be an exciting vehicle, taking the Model 3's smaller size, but then adding a hatchback. Or this could be a smaller version of a Model Y. Still, it does seem to be quite short for that, so maybe this is a new, smaller sedan that Tesla is planning to make that can bring it down in price. We always have to remember that the smaller the vehicle, the more efficient it can be, thus the less battery it actually requires to go the same distance, so Tesla can really bring down the core price with the battery pack. I personally would love if this is a very small sedan prototype that Tesla is working with and planning to make as one of their more affordable vehicles for 2025. But the rest of these vehicles are covered up as well, so it does seem to be those Model Y Junipers. We know that this refresh is coming, and we know that Tesla has to bring it out of multiple factories at the same time, so it's likely we're going to see similar leaks coming out of Texas and Berlin in the near future. They have to time everything right, because once people know about this Model Y refresh, bringing everything that it's supposed to bring, Tesla's going to have a hard time selling the cars that they currently have on hand. We're already seeing a lot of incentives going into the end of the year, like free supercharging or free FSD trials for 3 months when you purchase your car, among other things like the referral program, the military discount, discounts in inventory, and the federal tax credit. So Tesla clearly is doing a lot of work to reach their delivery goal of about 515,000 vehicles delivered within Q4. And part of that is because we're already anticipating this Model Y. So once 2025 comes, if they announce that car, we really need to see it available fairly soon. At the same time, that car could be a Model S refresh. So all of those cars appear to be the Model Y, with the exception of that mystery car in the middle. Maybe it's a smaller sedan that Tesla is planning to make more affordable. That would be very exciting. But at the same time, dimensions are tough to tell with a photo from this far away, so it could be an upgraded Model S. The Model S has somewhat needed a refresh at this point because the Model 3 basically took everything that the Model S had and added to it a little bit. Things like that LED light strip are new to the Model 3 Highland and on the Cybertruck, Tesla's newest vehicles, but also their quote-unquote flagship vehicle, the Model S, does not have that, and that's kind of a feature we're expecting that car to get, along with things like a front camera. The Model 3 already feels a bit like a Model S Mini, but in some ways it's actually better, so the Model S does need to catch up there, and maybe this is what we're seeing here. Fremont is the only factory that makes the Model S and the Model X, so a refresh would be coming out of that factory. One other theory here as we look around all of these vehicles is that they could be competitive vehicles to Tesla. Most companies are known for benchmarking other vehicles, especially Tesla vehicles. We see that a lot lately with companies making their own electric vehicles, but we haven't as much seen that from Tesla. That could be the case here, especially when we see the back of some of these cars. A lot of these could be a Model Y, but the back does seem to be quite a bit higher than what Tesla typically goes for, so it could be something like a Chevy Blazer EV, or maybe a competitor from China. China would make a little more sense, as that's more of what Tesla sees as their true competition, and bringing them over to the US could help their US engineers benchmark those. No matter what is here, it's something exciting for Tesla's future. What do you think about that car in the middle, though? Is that a new car that we're expecting to see from Tesla, or is that just a Model S? Leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts. Next up today, the dream of a personal flying car has long been the dream of science fiction, but there are some companies actually working on it, and Tesla at this point has promised it a little bit. With the refreshed Tesla Roadster, at this point it's basically just become this amalgamation of all the technology that Tesla is working on and could possibly deliver in the future. They're also talking about taking technology from SpaceX to deliver these crazy 0 to 60 times under 1 second using rocket boosters. But Elon has also hinted that this thing will fly. When someone was talking to Elon Musk about why we don't have flying cars, he said just wait a little, fueling some speculation that Tesla is actually planning to make a car that could fly, even if it's just for a little bit with the Roadster. He has also said that it would fly in some capacity, so we're unsure what this would actually mean or if it's something that would ever actually make it to market. At the same time, though, Xpeng over in China is actually working on their own flying car, and they already have a prototype. This is their land aircraft carrier. It's a 6-wheel electric van that transports a collapsible 2-seater flying vehicle within it. The aircraft itself features 6 foldable propellers and can complete 5 to 6 short flights per charge. And then the van is basically its charging station, recharging that aircraft from 30 to 80% in just 18 minutes, with repacking into the van taking as little as 5 minutes. This is a pretty crazy solution for a flying car, and essentially it's kind of like a flying vehicle within a car that charges it. And it's crazy to see a concept like that since that's similar to how AirPods work. You're basically traveling with your charging station for the piece that goes within it. In any case, Xpeng is planning for this to be $280,000 and they want production to start in 2026. They have 2,000 pre-orders already and they plan for an annual production of about 10,000 units. This raises a lot of questions as to what the legal requirements are going to be for this, how complex it will be actually to fly, if average people can buy this if they want to, and where this will lead into the future of flying vehicles. I'm also just curious to see how far you can realistically go with this before you have to then return it to your charging station, which has probably stayed stationary. But it is very cool to see innovation in the flying car space, especially when Elon and Tesla have just been teasing it a little bit. Tesla is always looking into the future, and arguably looking further than a lot of people wish that they did. A lot of people want to see them today just make a great, drivable, cheap, small car. And maybe we will be seeing that come 2025. However, they're already working on their Robotaxi, and we're going to talk about that technology in just a second. But the Robotaxi really seems to be their focus. So beyond that may be something like a flying car. If Xpeng can prove that this actually functions and actually works, it may be something that we see Tesla delve into in the future, although I think they'll likely take a little bit of a different approach. Still, when it comes to things like flying cars, Elon has talked about them and teased them, but every time we hear about the Roadster, they talk about how this is the cherry on top of a dessert. The Roadster is by no means Tesla's focus, and it's why they keep pushing back its release date and don't really talk about if they're going to actually release it anytime soon. It's an exciting car that, again, is an amalgamation of everything that they're working on for future technology, but when will we actually see it? I'm not sure. As for flying cars, though, do you think this Xpeng car will ever make it to market? And do you think Tesla will ever make something that actually lifts off the ground? Leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts. Next up today, let's talk about the latest advancements for Tesla's full self-driving software. Their full self-driving software has become especially important at this point because they have to achieve that full self-driving unsupervised technology in order to launch the next product that they have talked about, the Robotaxi. Tesla has been working on this technology for years, and they're always pushing out new updates to full self-driving as more and more people get it. At this point, they're rolling with full self-driving supervised, and they've said that they hope to launch full self-driving unsupervised in certain areas for the Model 3 and Y in 2025. In any case, their Tesla AI page on X posted a bunch of testing that they've been doing, including what they said are rare and adversarial scenarios on closed courses. They posted 16 examples that are really interesting to see. Here's a reverse cut-in that they say is occluded, where we can see a Model Y approaching as another Model Y backs out suddenly, and then the Model Y has to stop for it. Next up is peaking occluded, which looks a little bit similar, but it's a car coming out suddenly forward. Then they have a left turn cut in right in front of the vehicle, and of course FSD has to stop autonomously for this. There's a parallel cut in, yield for oncoming during overtake, where the car is about to overtake another vehicle, but it has to wait for a car. Stop sign right-of-way violator, so this is where you clearly come to the stop first, but someone else goes before you, and the car needs to stop in this case. Door opening during overtake. Right turn, harsh braking. Left turn across path. Cutout to static cone. Dynamic debris, dropped cone. U-turn cut-in, occluded, and I find this one to be especially crazy because this is a scenario that humans would have trouble with, and FSD does a great job stopping right here. High-speed cutout to stationary vehicle, high-speed harsh braking, high-speed stationary child, and then high-speed crossing child. Of course, we know that Tesla is testing their FSD system across hundreds of thousands of vehicles with the average public, but they're also doing this closed-circuit testing, which is really interesting to see. Tesla's head of AI said, quote, "These tests were motivated by real-world events from our customer fleet. Kudos to our talented and brave validation team to test these difficult and scary corner cases. The track tests are one of the more than 10 different validation methods for FSD." So Tesla is always working on FSD in many different ways, not just learning from the data that they're collecting from customers. It's pretty exciting to see, and these are some pretty extreme cases that it's doing a great job stopping for. In any case, they're expecting a lot of progress soon. V13 is the next version of Tesla's full self-driving package that is reportedly what they were running at the We Robot event. And Elon Musk has now said that that is coming soon, and that V13 is trending to be around 500% better. This comes on top of him saying back in October, quote, "We expect to see a 5x to 6x improvement in miles between interventions compared to version 12.5. If that really comes, that's a huge improvement to this system, and it's getting us that much closer to an unsupervised version of this system. Still, 5 to 6 times improvement is not quite what gets us to unsupervised, but it's on the path." Tesla is also launching FSD supervised on the Cybertruck in Canada, which is a big update for that. And then they've also started posting jobs for Robotaxi teleoperation. That's a big move right there that shows that they're really serious about this and getting things in order for when the Robotaxi is finally able to ship. We already see Robotaxis from companies like Waymo, and they're actually pretty successfully driving around in their geo-fenced areas, and they have teleoperators as a backup. And it looks like Tesla is looking to do a possible similar approach with the dedicated Robotaxi here in the future. I'm very curious to see if they really open this up to Model 3 and Y owners first, if they're also able to be teleoperated, or how that system will work at launch. Of course, everything's going to be internal to start, but when they start expanding things, what approach are they going to take? It's been very interesting to watch full self-driving development as of late, because for the longest time I wasn't really bought in. Every time I used it, I just didn't feel it was good enough, and I just preferred to use basic autopilot with my own lane changing. However, once they went to version 12 and beyond that, I noticed some really big improvements to the point where I actually started using this almost all of the time in my Model 3. Then I got the Cybertruck, and they put FSD on the Cybertruck, and I noticed a bunch of issues with it. For one, it breaks extremely late, to the point where I'm not really even wanting to use the Cybertruck FSD if there's any sort of traffic. Then it also will ride over the lane in certain scenarios, or just be a little too cautious to where every driver around me is really annoyed. There's also that similar issue with FSD across the board, even on the Model 3, where it just drives too slow. Maybe the posted speed limit is 40, and it's for some reason deciding to go 34 or 32 or something. So with the most recent version of FSD, I've actually felt it was a little bit of a step back, and some people have experienced that as well. So it's always interesting to see how Tesla is working on this and see why things get a little worse before they get better in some of these cases. So I'm very curious to see version 13 and what that could actually bring. We're always very excited by the next version of FSD, and Tesla and Elon Musk promise a lot of things, but there's always a little bit more work to be done than we may think on the surface. At least that's what it always seems to be. So I'm curious to see what the rollout is going into the future with version 13 and beyond, and how long it takes us to get somewhere to an unsupervised FSD. Some think that it will actually never occur, and that with Tesla's given hardware that they have, they will never be able to achieve it, and they'll find that they're required to have sensors like LiDAR, which is what Waymo uses. But time will tell. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you're a Cybertruck owner and you want to see the latest and best Cybertruck accessories to get, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.